Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing great. Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of using a pen name. Now, if you're just now starting on your author journey like I am, the thought has occurred to you. Should I write under my name? Should I use a different name? Well, have no fear. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of not using your name and using a pen name when you're publishing your book. Okay, so the first pro I have for writing under a pen name is you can write in any amount of varying genres as you like. Think about it this way. If you're writing YA, this first book that you're going to publish is a YA book. But in 2 years down the line, you decide, I don't just want to write YA, I want to write thriller as well. You can just use another pen name, or use a pen name if you're already using your legal name to write thriller. So that is a great pro of using a pen name. It doesn't keep you boxed into the same genre if you feel like you want to write different genres. And you know that trying to write different genres under one name can be a little tricky because you don't want to confuse your readers when they're going to look for your books. So best practice to use a different name, especially if your genres are very far apart. Number 2, on the pro side, is if you don't want to be searchable, then you don't have to be. So you can hide your real identity from anybody who's reading your book or anybody who sees your book online. This can be great if you want to keep your privacy private, so you want to keep your private life private, and you don't want people to be able to look up your address or where you work, especially if you live in places like the US where those things are easily accessible if someone has your legal name. Okay, number 3 on the pro side that I have found is you can differentiate your branding, your author branding, from maybe your personal or professional branding. So let's say you are a professional in your field or in your career, whatever it is. Maybe you're a doctor, a lawyer, you work at a Fortune 500 company, something like that, an accountant, and you already have a personal brand for that aspect of your life. Then you can use a pen name to brand your book separately, because it will be pretty weird if your accounting client looks up your name on Google and finds your book instead of maybe your online website for your accounting practice. So that is a really great pro of using a pen name. Number 4, I think we're on for pros, is that you can create a unique brand for your name. This is a little different than differentiating your branding, in that when you choose a pen name, you have the autonomy to choose exactly what you want, which means you can choose a name that's easily brandable. And when I say brandable, I mean a name that you can create a brand surrounding that name using maybe an icon or a picture, image, or something like that. A good example I know of this is Kennedy Fox. They are a writing duo. One half of the writing duo, which is Courtney, she has a channel here on YouTube called The Courtney Project, and you can check her out. She talks a lot about this stuff. But they decided to, instead of using both their names on their book cover, they would create a name, which is their pen name, which is Kennedy Fox. So they use a little pink fox, and anybody who knows their books, when you see that little pink fox, you recognize, oh, that's Kennedy Fox, because that is their branding. They've created a brand around Kennedy Fox using a fox. So if you wanted to name yourself Sally Paris, then maybe you could use the Eiffel Tower or something that denotes Paris easily and create a branding around that. So that's pro number 4. And the last pro I have for today is you can obscure your gender. For a lot of people, maybe a man wants to write romance and he doesn't want anybody to know that it's a man writing romance, because usually when we think romance, we think female authors, which is a little stereotypical, but it's kind of the way that it is. So he may want to use a female name or female pen name to obscure his gender and write romance. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the cons. If you can think of any more pros, maybe you can comment down below and share it with us so we can start a conversation. So now we're going to move on to the cons of using a pen name. Pay close attention. These are things that I found out and was a little shook by. Okay, so con number 1. Multiple social media and the upkeep of all of that. If you know anything about author platform, which I'm just now learning about myself, it's good to have social media presence and a social presence in general. Now, if you have more than one pen name and you are actively publishing under all of those pen names, it stands to reason that you're going to have social media for each pen name, which might get a little difficult or a little tedious to manage all those different social medias. So let's say you have 2 different pen names. That means you're going to have 2 different Instagram accounts, 2 different Facebooks, 2 different Twitters, 2 different TikTok, Tumblr, the website, 2 different of everything. And that can be a lot of work, especially if you are working a full-time job. Now, if you can handle it, then you can handle it, all power to you, but that's just something to keep in mind. Con number 2 is building up multiple brands. So you know that in order, well, maybe not, so you know that you're gonna have to build up your author brand, which means you're gonna have to build up your readership, etc. When you have more than one pen name, especially if you're writing under more than one genre, then that means you have to build up multiple brands for each of those pen names under those different genres. This can get a little hard because one genre might be completely different than the other. So for instance, YA. Maybe most YA fans are on Instagram and they like TikTok videos and stuff like that. So you can gear that kind of content toward them. But then you decide you're going to write thriller, and your thriller fans are not on TikTok. They don't really care about TikTok. They're not on Instagram. Maybe they're on Twitter. And now you have to learn a different way to gear content toward that aspect of your fan base, your readership. So it can get a little difficult. It's a learning curve, I would imagine. So bear that in mind. Number 3, on the con side of the equation, multiple websites if you want to keep pen names separate. Now, if you want to make your pen names, if you want to have all your pen names related to each other and you don't really care if anybody knows that you're the one writing under this pen name and you also writing under this pen name, then this might not relate to you. But if you want to keep these pen names completely separate, like you don't even want anybody to know that you're this other person writing this other genre, then that may mean having to have multiple URLs, multiple websites. URLs cost money. Every year you have to pay for your URL. Websites cost money and they take a lot of upkeep. So you're gonna have to have 2 different websites, 2 different URLs, 2 different upkeeps, 2 different URL payments. You're talking about web hosting, where you're gonna be hosting these websites, how much do they cost, how much does it cost to host, all of that. So that is something that could really become a big con in the long run, where finances is concerned and where time management is concerned. So keep that in mind. Number 4 on the cons is it may get harder to keep up with book releases. Now, hear me out. If you're a person like me who likes to read series, then you know that when the last book in the series that's released is finished, you're anxiously waiting for the next book. I know that's how I am. And you keep going back to their website, the author's website, you keep going back to their Amazon page, looking to see when is this next book in the series going to be released. So imagine if you are an author writing under multiple pen names, and for instance, you're writing different series under each pen name in each genre, your fans are going to be waiting for the next book to come out in that series. And if you're not a fast writer that can pop out 7 books in a year, and you're more like me, that I'm learning that I'm a very slow writer, especially in the beginning phase. The writing part itself, not so much, but the outlining and stuff like that, that takes a while. So if you're a person like that, then it's gonna take you a couple of months to be able to write that book, to edit it, to re-edit it, to send it to editors, all of that. Your fans may get a little frustrated with you if you can't release books on time while you're writing under multiple pen names. So you may only be able to release 1 book under each pen name per year, which means you're only releasing, so you're releasing 2 books technically, but your fans only see 1 book from you in the separate genres. That may get on their nerves, honestly, and it may cost you some readers. At least that's what I've heard from other people talking on YouTube. I think Sarah Cannon did a video on this under Heart Breathings. That's her channel. You should definitely check it out because she goes a lot more into depth on this kind of stuff, and she's published a lot of books, so she knows what she's talking about. So that could potentially be a problem. So think about that if you're not somebody who can write books really, really fast. Number 5, the 5th con that I have is, in some places you may have to set up a legal business to publish under a pen name. Now I think in Texas, I'm not exactly certain because I don't live in Texas, but I think that's what I heard, that in order for you to publish under a name that is not legally yours, which means a pen name, you're gonna have to set up a business. Now, you know, if you're writing under your name, you don't have to do anything besides write the book, publish the book, and of course, pay your taxes whenever you make money. But if you're writing under a pen name, in certain places, you may have to create a business under that name in order to publish your books. It could be at a cost to you. I'm not exactly certain how things in the rest of the world work, but I know in my country that if you're gonna set up a business, you have to pay to set up that business. You have to pay for the name, you have to pay for the entity, etc. So that's something that you should check out in your area, wherever you live, that you know that you can publish under a pen name legally without having to have any kind of business attached to that pen name. So definitely check that out before you decide to start your whole platform and everything under this name, and then find out that you can't publish under this name because you have to have a business under that name. Number 6 in our cons is that you might upset your family. Okay, so if you have a family that's really sentimental, or even if they're not sentimental, they may get upset or feel badly that you've decided to publish under a name that's not the name that they gave you. They may wonder if you don't like your name, or if you don't think your name is good enough, and they may not understand so much the issue of branding or the issue of keeping in line with your genre or anything like that. So that's something that you may want to have a conversation about if you know maybe your parents or other family members may get offended by that. So it's something to think about, really think about, because you don't want to hurt your family. They're your family at the end of the day, and you would like their support when you finally publish your book. So really keep that in mind. Those are some really good pros and cons to think about when you're going to decide whether or not you should use a pen name. Now, if you're not certain what a pen name is, or reasons why you should use a pen name, then you should definitely check out my video from last week. I talked about all of that, what a pen name is. We went into detail on what a pen name is, and into detail on some reasons why people use pen names, and if you should use one yourself. So that will be up in the iCards and probably down in the description box. Thank you guys so much for listening and for watching my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye, see you next week.